When the curtain falls on the reign of a pope as Supreme Pontiff of the Catholic Church, the period is known as Sede vacante, which means the chair is vacant. There can be two reasons why the chair of the Apostle Peter can be vacated in the Catholic Church. The first is that the previous occupant can resign, like Pope Benedict XVI in 2013, who became the first pope to resign since Gregory XII in 1415. The second and much more common cause is the death of the previous pope. Either way, the period of Sede vacante is one of the most interesting in the life of the Church because it can only be brought to a close by a secretive election of a new pope. This election is commonly known as the Papal Conclave. The official language of the Vatican remains Latin, and the term conclave comes from the Latin terms con, meaning with, and claves, meaning key, the intention of which is to signify a locked room. In the modern era, the locked room is the Sistine Chapel, which serves as the voting chamber for the papal election. First off, let us look at some of the rules that govern this election. They are laid out in main in the Apostolic Constitution Universi Dominici Gregis issued by Pope John Paul II on the 22nd of February 1996, although subsequent alterations were issued by his successor Benedict XVI. The right to elect the Roman Pontiff, meaning the Bishop of Rome, belongs exclusively to the College of Cardinals, with the exception of those who have reached their 80th year before the day of the Pope's death or the day when the Apostolic See becomes vacant. The maximum number of cardinal electors also must not exceed 120. From the moment when the Apostolic See is vacant, the cardinal electors who are present must wait 15 full days for those who are absent. The conditions exist to begin the election earlier if it is assured that all electors are present. The College of Cardinals is also granted the faculty to defer, for serious reasons, the beginning of the election for a few days more. But when a maximum of 20 days have elapsed from the beginning of the vacancy of the see, all the cardinal electors present are obliged to proceed to the election. The question of who can be elected has several interesting caveats. Technically, anyone can be elected who is eligible to receive the sacrament of holy orders. Within the Catholic tradition, that means only men, and in accordance with canon law, that includes only those who are above the age of 25. Then there are the more cultural norms. Technically, any man over 25 can be elected, and rules exist to summon someone elected from outside the conclave, as well as rules for the ordination of those who are not yet bishops. But as the electors are all cardinals, it is most likely, by which I mean definite, that they will choose one from among those present. Although it is rumored that Archbishop of Milan Giovanni Battista Montini received votes in the conclave of 1958 that elected Angelo Giuseppe Roncalli as John XXIII. Montini was subsequently made cardinal and succeeded Roncalli as Paul VI in 1963. From the polling chapel of the Apostolic Palace, where they will assemble at a suitable hour in the afternoon, the cardinal electors in choir dress and invoking the assistance of the Holy Spirit with the chant of the Veni Creator will solemnly process to the Sistine Chapel, where the election will be held. Once everyone is inside and ready, the request will be announced. Extra omnes, which will be the announcement that all who do not have a role in the conclave must leave. Then, the doors will be closed and locked. Once the election begins, there will be the option of a single ballot on the afternoon of the first day. Beyond this, a morning and afternoon session, each holding 2 ballots, will be held every day of the election if necessary. Each cardinal elector is given 1 vote per ballot. The conditions of each ballot determine that whoever receives 2/3 of the vote will be elected. If no one receives this amount, the ballot papers will be burned, and the election will continue. The voting is carried out in 3 phases. The pre-scrutiny phase is the phase that prepares the way for the voting. Once the Master of Ceremonies distributes the ballot papers, names are drawn to appoint from the cardinal electors a team of 3 scrutineers to process and count the votes, 3 infirmarii to gather the votes of the cardinals who cannot cast their vote themselves through ill health, and 3 revisers to check that the scrutineers have done everything as they should. The ballot papers themselves must be rectangular with the words Eligo in Summum Pontificem printed on the upper half. On the lower half, a space must indicate where the name of the person chosen should be written. Each cardinal elector must write the name in secret before folding the ballot paper twice. It is the job of the infirmary at this time to go and collect the ballot papers of any cardinal who has been unable to attend the vote due to ill health. Once we arrive at the scrutiny proper, each cardinal in their turn will stand, holding their folded ballot where it can be seen, and carries it to the altar, where there will be a receptacle covered by a plate to receive their ballot. Having reached the altar, facing Michelangelo's fresco of the Final Judgment, the cardinal elector says aloud, "I call as my witness Christ the Lord, who will be my judge, that my vote is given to the one who before God I think should be elected." He then places the vote on the plate and tips it into the receptacle. It is the job of the scrutineers to then take the ballots cast by the infirm and place them in the receptacle. The first scrutineer then shakes the receptacle to mix the ballots before the last scrutineer counts the folded ballots into another vessel to ensure that the number of ballots equals the number of cardinal electors. The scrutineers then sit at a table in front of the altar and open the ballots. Each scrutineer in turn counts the vote and writes down each name. The third scrutineer also reads the name aloud to the cardinal electors present. He then pierces the ballots where the word "Eligo" is printed, placing all of the ballots together on one thread. The post-scrutiny phase sees the scrutineers count the votes before the results are ratified by the revisers, who are responsible for checking that the job has been done faithfully. There are two possibilities at this point that both depend on whether the two-thirds majority has been reached. If not, a second vote is to be taken immediately following the first. If there is still no election following the second vote, all of the ballots from both votes are to be burned, and the black smoke that rises from the chimney alerts the people outside that the session's voting has been unsuccessful. If there is a failure to achieve a result after 3 days, a day is taken for prayer and reflection. The process is repeated for 7 more ballots before another pause, and this is repeated until such times as an agreement has been reached. The second possibility is that the votes have been counted, a two-thirds majority has been reached and ratified, and that a new pope has been elected. The Cardinal Dean, in the name of the whole College of Electors, then asks the person elected, "Do you accept your canonical election as Supreme Pontiff?" And as soon as he has received the consent, he asks him, "By what name do you wish to be called?" The ballot papers are then burned, but chemicals are added to produce white smoke. This will alert the people outside of the Sistine Chapel that a new pope has been elected. To be elected Pope is to be elected to join the 2,000-year-long line of successors to the Apostle Peter as Bishop of Rome. It is to become part of a 2,000-year history that has come from the humble origins of a fisherman follower of Jesus, through the persecution of and eventual adoption under the Roman Empire, through the threats of the sackings of Rome under the Visigoths and the Vandals, to periods of temporal power with the establishment of the Papal States and the Holy Roman Empire, to the foundation of the Vatican city-state. All of this is reflected in the traditions and pageantry of the conclave and the election of a new pope.
Annuncio vobis gaudium magnum, habemus papam.
In the post-Second Vatican Council era, starting with the election of John Paul I in 1978, the procedure surrounding the announcement of the new pope has adopted a less regnal character. Although the pope retains his rule over the Vatican City, the coronation ceremony has been suppressed. John Paul II substituted the Sede for the Pope Mobile, and the papal coat of arms, with the election of Benedict XVI, has seen the traditional symbol of the tiara replaced by the more ecclesiastic symbol of the mitre. The title of Bishop of Rome has taken more prominence in recent years also. Who knows what changes we will continue to see in the papal elections of the future?